Does it bother you that he keeps talking about 2020 and not 2024? I'll ask you first. This is Jonathan Leslie. He's 40, Republican, voted for Trump twice. How do you feel about those lies?
So I feel like part of it's also the media narrative, as you guys asked him the first question at the town hall about the 2020 election, rather than current stuff.
So don't you think he could say it's time for me to start talking about 2024 and not lies that aren't true?
Couldn't the media ask him a question about 2024?
Well, there were questions, but you're right, that was the first thing, but that's something that was on our mind.
Dominating the Republican race right now, but you are also under active federal investigation for trying to overturn the 2020 election results. Your first term ended with a deadly riot at the Capitol, and you still have not publicly acknowledged the 2020 election results. Why should Americans put you back in the White House?
Because we did fantastically. We got 12 million more votes than we had in as you know, in 2016, I actually say we did far better in that election. Got the most that anybody's ever gotten as a sitting president of the United States. I think that when you look at that result and when you look at what happened during that election, unless you're a very stupid person, you see what happens. A lot of the people...
What's going on, everyone? Sauce McKinney here today. We'll be analyzing what happened in the town hall yesterday. To me, I know a lot of people are coming out, I guess people who are like pro DeSantis and trying to use this as a criticism on Trump, like, oh, he can't stop talking about the 2020 election. He can't stop talking about how it was rigged. But they have no accountability for the media, because then CNN's the one moderating the discussion. They could have avoided all of 2020 and just talk about 2024, because this is what the election is about. We're talking about, hey, what are your plans for 2024? But as the people that were at the town hall, or people who are reacting to the town hall, Republicans and independents, they're saying, hey, you guys, the first question y'all led with was the 2020 election, when y'all could have talked about 2024, right? And I see no accountability on the media part, like, oh yeah, we kind of brung the discussion, right? Because end of the day, if someone instigate a fight and you're surprised the person fights back, would you really hold the person? Like, would you not have any understanding of why the person would, like, that's a touchy subject for him, but hey, maybe that plays into the CNN narrative. But hey, I digress. So further on, the town hall to me was a good look on Trump. Like, Trump he seemed like his usual sharp self, right? He made the crowd laugh a lot of times, right? There were certain clips where, I don't know, I just like the way Trump carried himself in that town hall, especially being in the lion's den, right? Like, he was in a hostile environment. The moderator wasn't moderating. She was more like trying to debate him on stage than actually moderate the discussion, right? And she asked a lot of personal questions throughout the town hall. And I found it kind of annoying. I was starting getting annoyed with her, because I was like, yo, like, you only ask like 5 questions from the crowd. You're doing most of the talking, moderator. And I don't think that's how it's supposed to be. And she tried to be like fact checking him live. Like, for instance, on the January 6th point, here's a clip of it.
Why did it take you 3 hours to tell them to go home?
I don't believe it did. Oh, let me pull it out. I have to pull it out. So if you look at, on January 5th, the day before, I said, please support our Capitol Police and law enforcement. They are truly on the side of our country. Stay peaceful. Stay peaceful. This was the day before, and this was in the form of Twitter. Now use Truth Social. I think it's far superior, okay? I hope everybody's on Truth. If you look January 6th, this is before 2:30. I am asking for everyone at the U.S. Capitol to remain peaceful. This is right after, as it was happening. But what happened is they took it down. I don't know why. I think they took it down because it was so good. They didn't like it being up there.
So you saw from the clip that he had no trust for this lady, but whatsoever, right? And this is the kind of things I was talking about, is like, he would say something and he wouldn't be, I mean, he was able, like, he'll just like steamroll through, like, he'll just talk over her and just keep going. But I found those little instances of these things annoying, right? So especially if you know what happened, right? Because when the riots were going on, the January 6th riots was going on, it was going on around like 1:30 p.m. And he said the tweet came out at 2. So he responded right after. He said, hey, like, yo. And apparently, even when he was speaking, the riots was happening while he was speaking, while he was doing his speech. Right. And another part to this January 6th stuff is, obviously, we know Tucker Carlson. He released some unseen footage of January 6th. And most of it was peaceful. Most of it was. Now, there were some people that actually did break laws And I understand that. And if you watch the whole January 6th segment on the CNN town hall, you probably won't find it unedited though. He talked about instances of how some of the protesters on January 6th got hurt too. Right? And then there's so many different narratives people are pushing on this January 6th stuff, but I believe most of the people were peaceful. Most of the people shouldn't be trialed the way they are in our society today, in our country today, especially without a trial, without a case. No new evidence came out. I forgot what the January 6th shaman guy. I don't know his name. When Tucker released the unseen footage, he was automatically acquitted like within days after the footage came out. And that's the game our government and politicians are playing to get a certain narrative so they can prosecute people unjustly. But hey, man, I think I'm rambling a little too much. So let's talk about stuff that Americans actually care about, because this is all CNN's plan was. Hey, we want him to be unpopular with independents. I agree with Tim Pool on this point, is that they brought the reason why they asked him about the 2020 election first, January 6th right after, the case with his the case he just lost recently with the sexual abuse charges in New York, which I think was biased or politically motivated. Hopefully he appeals that and he wins, but I digress. Is because they want to hurt his polling with independents, because he's polling well with independents right now. And the rig election stuff, when Trump talks about this stuff, it galvanizes his base. Everyone knows that already. Like, that galvanized the Trumpers, right? I'm an independent, so I kind of see, like, yeah, you lost 2020. That's me. I'm sorry. That's what I believe. He lost, right? But I also can understand why he would think it's rigged, because they changed rules, right? Which helped the odds in their favor, right? Like, if I make a rule change, let's say in the NBA, an NBA example, then I'll get on to the next clip. Let's say I was Stephen Curry and I was able to advocate the refs to say, hey, if no one's allowed to touch a person making 3-point shots. It's immediately considered a foul. People are going to be like, then how are we going to defend Stephen Curry? We can't touch him on the 3-point line. Right? You didn't rig the game, essentially, but you gave an unfair advantage, and you played to Curry's strength by making the rule change. And this is what happened with the Democratic Party when they out here making rule changes. We do 3-day elections. All he's saying is, hey, like, we all should have stuck to the same rules, because we're voting for the president of the United States, and we all should do it all in the same process. Not one state you get 3 days to count your votes. One state finishes in 1 day. It's inconsistent result. It's inconsistent standard. And I think this is what Trump is really hinting at. Maybe he didn't articulate it well, but I can understand that. And this is me speaking as an independent voter, right? But hey, I digress. Let's get into the economy, right? So Trump is going to start talking about energy independence, and some of the clips I'm going to show, I might show them back to back, but I'm pretty sure I'm just going to show one clip and then I'll just jump into, it'll be real fast. Let's take a look.
My question is regarding the economy. Over the past 2 years, we have seen the prices for everything skyrocket. From food to gas to utilities and insurance costs, many people's bills are up several $100s a month, including mine. If elected president again, what is the first thing you would do to help bring down the cost to make things more affordable?
Drill, baby, drill.
Hey, it's short and simple, right? And I think this is how Democrats win a lot with their campaigns, and this is how they convince a lot of, I'll call them low information voters, is because they're able to succinctly and like directly communicate what they're trying to do, right? So when Trump's talking about drill, baby, drill, and it's right. And we're energy independent, and he had the Keystone Pipeline going on, which Joe Biden removed and took out, which helped kind of create this crisis that we're in with gas prices, allegedly, right? Inflation, allegedly, right? Because Trump in the town hall, he started explaining how everything is pretty much used on oil, like transporting goods in here. So it raised the cost of everything related to oil. So this is why he said the drill, baby, drill point. But I don't want to stay too long about it. Here's his take on the Russia war. And I think out of all the segments, I think this was one of his best ones in the town hall. Let me know if you agree or disagree, or let me know which part of the segment that you guys like the most out of the town hall. Let's take a look.
If you were
I would sit down. Let me just put it a nicer way. If I'm president, I will have that war settled in 1 day, 24 hours.
How would you settle that war in 1 day?
Because I'll meet with Putin, I'll meet with Zelensky, They both have weaknesses and they both have strengths. And within 24 hours, that war will be settled. It'll be over. It'll be absolutely
Do you
over.
want Ukraine to win this war?
I don't think in terms of winning and losing. I think in terms of getting it settled so we stop killing all these people and breaking down this country.
Yes, I agree. Like, I'm for, hey, like, mind your business, right? My default, like, let's say my neutral point is live, let live, right? So if I'm United States and I see something going on in another country, I was like, yo, that's not my business. Y'all handle that. That's your problem, right? Unless there's no gain to get. And then I like in this segment here, and if you watched it in its full context, he started breaking down how in NATO, United States is paying $170 billion, while the other countries are paying $30 billion, where the impact is closer to the other countries in NATO and further away from the United States, but the United States is paying more. And all Trump is asking is, hey, we should be paying about equal. Just because we're richer than most of the countries there, it doesn't mean we have to carry most of the bill. And this is him, I guess, thinking like a businessman. He's like, yo, that makes no economic sense. I'm paying $170 billion for a war when Russia's more of a threat to your borders than mine. And I'm like, yo, perfect sense. And the way he went about it, because this made her look bad. I forgot her name. Caitlin, I forgot her name. The moderator here, the CNN moderator here looked really bad to me. Because you're sitting here like, oh, do you want Russia to win? Or do you want Ukraine to win? And he's like, yo, who cares who win this? Lives are being lost the longer this war goes on. And this is how elitist people see you. They see you as pawns to their game. Hey, I want victory. It don't matter how much of the pawns get sacrificed and killed as long as we get our ends. And this is what he's talking about. And then there was a point in the segment as well where she asked him, hey, do you think Vladimir Putin is a war criminal? And he's like, yo, I'm a candidate. If I say he is, it will make negotiating with him in the future worse. And I was like, oh my God, someone who's making sense. And this is why people vote for Trump. Because end of the day, Trump is, out of all the politicians, I'm sorry to say this, he's the most relatable one. They try to get him on, when you say grab women by the you know what, he was like, yo, you want me to say that men who are rich, successful, famous, don't have advantages? That's what you want me to sit here and say? Pretty much, we're like, yeah, makes sense. If you live in reality, you know this. You know this has been true since human beings been conceived. That kings get women, like status gives people more money, especially if you follow these the red pill guys. They tell you about this stuff. And it's an observation in reality. It's not him saying, oh, this is what I believe. He's just saying, hey, this is what I observe. And I say, hey, you can get away with certain things because you're rich, famous, whatever. And everyone who lives in live in reality will say, yeah, that makes sense. And this is what makes Trump so relatable as a common voter, is that you know he has flaws. You know he's not a perfect person. And this is why people like him. Politicians, they sit here trying to say, oh, look how presidential I am. Look at me, I'm so perfect. And people's like, yo, that comes across fake. Disingenuous. You're not a genuine person. And this is why Trump wins. This is why Trump has so much favorability in the conservative base. And all the political pundits, look, Ben Shapiro, I like Ben Shapiro, but this is where at one part I think Ben Shapiro is like out of touch. And maybe, I don't know if it's because they're older or whatever, but a lot of people think this was a bad, like those people, they think it's a bad look on Trump to take the CNN thing. And I'm like, no, it shows bravery. He's like, yo, like, I'm not above criticism. He's the most criticized man, I think, in the whole presidential election right now. So this is why people want to stand behind him. This is why people want to support him. This is why people are willing to defend him. And that kind of relatability, I think, gives him the edge in most debates. Because people are like, yo, I know this guy's not perfect, but he's just trying. And I trust him more than I trust you. Because you got skeletons in your closet, and I don't know about them. This man, we pretty much know everything that went on in his life, because the Democrats and his political rivals been trying to find every dirt possible on this man. This is why I always joke around and say Trump is the most vetted person in history, because we know we know most of his dirty stuff. All these other politicians, we don't know nothing about them. So it creates this vacuum around him saying, yo, I can't really trust the other politicians. I can trust this guy. They tried to impeach him twice. He was exonerated twice. Everything they say he did, he didn't do. Russia. He was a Russian spy. He was a Soviet agent. Disproven. So we're like, yo, this guy, I trust this guy. He's most vetted. Like if the Democrats had something tangible on him, they would have already hit him with it already. And then in this next clip, Byron Donalds will give his final, because this is, now I'm starting to give you post reaction. And I think Byron Donalds, I hope I said I did say his name right. He will succinctly call out the media narrative and what Americans really care about. Because this is essentially what the town hall was about. What the narrative the media is trying to portray, and then what voters actually care about. And there's a disconnect there because the media, the journalists or whatever, they're propaganda. This is why people call them propagandists, because they're trying to make you think about Trump a certain way instead of, hey, here's all the statements Trump said. You make a decision about it. No. We got to frame it in a way so you go down the path that we want you to go down. Right. And this is why I say it's a time for a new era. But I digress. Let's get into this final clip and I'll give you my final thoughts at the end of the clip. Let's take a look.
Even if you listen to the last segment with Jake, everything that was just talked about is not on the minds of independent voters in America. They are focused on the things that are affecting their families. First and foremost, has my child actually caught up from being locked out of schools for 2 years? Is fentanyl, which is a major issue in so many communities around our country, is the president going to do the job of securing our border and stopping the drug cartels from having operational control of our southern border? Are we going to maintain the dollar as the world's reserve currency while China's trying to negotiate around the United States? Inflation, yes, the year-over-year number is trending down, but the impact of inflation on the American family has completely devalued their wages over the last 2 years. Those are the things that really matter to Americans.
True that. I maybe I'm biased because he's from Florida. I'm from Florida. He's black. I'm black. Maybe I'm biased when I say I agree with everything he said. Maybe I'm biased. Maybe I am. But this is the point he has. Like, name an issue, and I think Trump has the better policies. That's just me. And this is why I want the Biden-Trump rematch, because I want to see if America actually learned their mistake. Because to me, this is a mistake. You voted in a guy that ushered in the highest inflation in 40 years. Your boy, Joe Biden, your boy. The one that said if you don't vote for me, you ain't black. That guy. He's talking about, oh, you want 4 more years of Trump? I don't want 4 more years of Biden. I know that for sure. That's one thing I know for sure. That's 100% I'm sure. I don't want four more years of Biden. But guess what? Democrat Party, they tied independent voters' hands because they're saying, hey, we're only going to support Biden. DNC did that. Not Democratic voters. Democrat voters, majority of them said, hey, we don't want Biden rerunning. And then the Democratic National Committee says, who are you voters? We're the leaders of the party, not you. We want Biden and you're going to vote for Biden. That's what the DNC just told the Democratic voters. You left us no choice. And you know Trump is going to win the Republican nominee. Now, he may get some decent challengers. To me, Vivek. Ron DeSantis, the only reason I think Ron DeSantis will make it in the end is because he has more name recognition than Vivek Ramaswamy. But based on the debate stage, I don't know. That can change. To me, Ramaswamy is my dark horse for being the challenger to Trump. But hey, I digress. Let me know your thoughts about the town hall, what you guys thought of it. Did you watch it, not watch it? Give me some of your takes from the town hall. Do you agree with my synopsis of things? Do you disagree with my synopsis of things? Let me hear in the comment section. I really do appreciate you guys for watching to the end of the video. Hopefully it wasn't too long for you guys. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you found it informative. And I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.